You won't find one individual from the most die-hard of fans to the most uninformed of casuals that hasn't heard of the LA Lakers, but recently, things haven't been looking too hot for Showtime. In this video, we've collected the biggest reasons why we believe the Lakers might be splitting in just 2 years. Let's get started. Throughout the team's history, the Lakers have enjoyed a period of time in which they were the unquestioned kings with Magic and Kareem during the golden years and have suffered through slumps such as the past few years. With Anthony Davis joining the team, he was expected to turn everything around. The bro is good and he can easily make the list when looking at the top 25 GOATs. In fact, Davis' style of play reminds us most of his predecessor on the Lakers, Hakeem Olajuwon. In their prime, both share an affinity for flexibility, being able to deliver the goods while playing defensively or offensively. They even have similar stats when you compare them both at the age of 25. The one difference between them though is that Davis hasn't taken home any MVP awards, but if I was Davis, I wouldn't be worried. The man is still in his prime and at the rate he is going, he'll sure have that amended soon. Showtime took a big risk when keeping Davis on the roster since they had to give up a lot to keep him on, and this might prove to be a major headache for them moving forward. In short, the Lakers roster lacks tradability, and while this might not be a problem this year, especially with the indefinite NBA shutdown that began earlier this year, 1 or 2 more years down the line, this is going to be a nightmare for them. If you've ever played career mode in 2K, then you should know that you don't get to keep one of the best players in the league in your team without some big concessions, and the Lakers have given up a lot of potential alternatives. For example, let's look at the team's likely choices for 2021. Players like Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, 2 excellent players, are playing for the Pelicans. DeAndre Hunter is running with Atlanta, and Mo Wagner and Isaac Bonga are in the wizarding worlds of the Washington Wizards. While we don't want to dismiss the loads of talent in the NBA, for a world-class team like the Lakers, there's just not a lot of good players left available. And this is assuming they'd even be able to get any of the players we've just listed. We don't want to be alarmist, they still have players like Kyle Kuzma and Talen Horton-Tucker who give their roster some semblance of tradability, but this isn't enough to save them from the constraints of the Stepien rule that states that, with very few exceptions, a team is not allowed to trade its first-round pick in consecutive years. They're required to keep it diverse. With this in mind, let's take a look at the Lakers' trade assets. They've got Kuzma, Anthony Davis, LBJ, Jared Dudley, and Troy Daniels. James and Davis, for obvious reasons, are going to be staying with the Lakers for the foreseeable future, so that leaves Kuzma, Dudley, and Daniels. They also have Rajon Rondo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and JaVale McGee, but because they re-signed 1+1 deals, they have the freedom to reject a trade if they don't like where executives are trying to send them off to. It's not a selection that inspires confidence in the Lakers' ability to match other players' contracts. The one bright side to this is that on December 15th, every contract the Lakers signed in the summer will be eligible for trade, but they're hoping their existing roster works out, so at best they'll be trading 1 or 2 players to get one really good player, or they'll be selling someone off who just wasn't cutting it. To strike a deal, the Lakers will need to convince competing teams to trade a good player on a relatively short contract in exchange for a bunch of cash. This doesn't seem very likely considering leading up to this point they've been unwilling to make the necessary money dumps to build a world-class team. And if they do manage to strike a deal, then they have to make sure they're not trading someone valuable to them in exchange for some player who's supposed to make the stars align and fit perfectly into their team. There's just too many ifs here. So, if the likely scenario is that the Lakers won't make a trade at all, and they'll be stuck with this roster for 2021 and then 2022, again, maybe the perfect storm forms and they catch lightning in a bottle and form a super team. Maybe Damian Lillard says screw it and joins Showtime. Maybe a younger Magic Johnson travels through space and time to save them. Possibly. But until then, we're stuck with what we have. Fans have been down on the Lakers this season, and for good reason. They just haven't been performing. They haven't made playoffs since 2013, and after we were told Davis would turn their luck around, they had one of their worst seasons. And if this continues, or even worse, a player is unable to keep playing due to an injury, the Lakers are in an impossible situation. By all accounts, the Lakers won't be able to form a super team by 2022. This might work to their advantage in terms of player morale, but chances are it'll leave the players feeling frustrated at their lack of improvement and progression. There's no sugarcoating it. The front office played their cards badly and will be dealing with the consequences in the years to come. If 2022 comes and the team looks unrecognizable, don't say we didn't warn you. That's all the time we have for today. What did you think of this list? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to drop a like and ring that subscriber bell to stay up to date on all our future videos.